No. Damn seagull. Now, a little bit dark. LED lights, ready? There we go. So, we let the camera adjust itself, and there we go. See how bright this place is. Amazing. I've been wanting these lights, or good lights, for like a year now. So, I talked to CNC Services, the company I bought this machine from. Phoned them this morning. Yep, they've got a couple of parts that we never got with the machine. There's a little jog wheel called an MPG, something pulse generator, manual pulse generator, something like that. And there's like a touch probe. And apparently, you know how we were having problems, if you remember, having problems getting this in. Apparently we just have to put that right up in there. Like this spindle thing needs to be right up at the top, and we push a button on there called tool check, apparently. And then we should be able to put this in. We couldn't access the software on here, like it was a demo mode. I'm gonna phone him just now, get some codes, he said, and he can sort of like guide me through, and hopefully that'll unlock it and we can start doing things. And they're coming down on Wednesday, which is 2 days from now, to give training. You know, they say it's about 3 or 4 hours training, get us up and running, that kind of thing. So that should help hugely. I remember we kind of got training with the water jet cutter when we first got it, and it was invaluable. Like just the 4 hours of intense, you know, this. I was asking questions like an absolute madman, making sure that like I didn't let them just show me something. I made sure that I did it, because you have to sort of, well, I have to actually do it myself. Click the buttons, move the things, push the buttons. You get the idea. So just been on the phone to the company, and they have, if you have a look here, F1, no, where is it? Utility, options. There we go. So if you look here, all those say demo mode now, which is good. Like we've got 21 days to just like test everything. But he's coming down on Wednesday, so 2 days time. He will, you know, give us the proper installation. It did say like off on everything there, so we had access to nothing, which makes sense. So that's unlocked now. This thing really, you know, like, you know how I've been talking about this thing and it's still not working? Well, this button here, that sound is to sort of release this thing, and this other button, the top one, is to, you know, insert it in. Now listen to this noise. It shouldn't be making that noise apparently, so we're going to check something up there. It could be like a kink pipe or something. Both these buttons here, they should be making exactly the same sound, and they're not. Right, so got to take this cover here off. You can't quite see it, but 2 or 3 screws here, 3 screws, take those off and see if there's any sort of kink pipes or anything like that. Looks like an airline was disconnected after all. The hose hadn't just come off, it actually snapped. So you see this thing here? There is a little bit of blue hose still stuck in there, so I'm gonna have to take off this thing, take it down, and hopefully we can try and get it out. And I've already cleaned up this end of the hose, and that should just hopefully go in. In here, you know, I'm taking a look in here, and I can see that the thing that clamps the pipe has actually just cut through the pipe. I think that's what's gone wrong. I'm not going to spend time trying to poke it out, prod it out, whatever. You know, keep things moving. I'm just going to go across the road. Luckily, we have a place that sells all this sort of stuff right across the road. I'm just going to go across, buy a new bit. Right. First rule of business. Why buy one when you can have 2 for twice the price? One rule I try to follow in general, but I'm not strict on it, is, you know, when something goes and I need to buy another one, I get 2, because if it's gone once, it's probably going to go again. And, you know, especially if it's cheap and it's a consumable, this is like $11 each or something, these 2. If the airline is going to go again, it's probably going to be like on a Saturday morning when you've got to wait like 2 whole days until anything opens and you wanted to like work the entire weekend. So like the extra $11 is like an insurance policy to keeping the machine running all the time. That's the way I look at it anyway. I've been playing around with it for sort of half an hour, just doing things like trying to get it to like face something, so to come down and sort of skim. I mean, no actual tools in or metal or vice, there's nothing in there. Just trying to do it on the software alone and then simulate it. So for instance, I mean, if I do like say 25 here, you're not really going to see much, but you know, I accept that, file, save, post it, and it's ready to go. We push the cycle start once, and then on here we push it again. When I push it the second time, you'll see this do something. Now I don't know if you can hear that, but it's still doing something. It's just lowering the Z really, really slowly. If you have a look at this. Just trying to figure out what it's actually doing there. Like, it seems to just go right down and then just go really, really slowly down. And you know, like I'm purposefully not looking at the manual, and you know, and there's a bit of sort of video training on it. I have to head off soon, but we'll be back tomorrow. Back at the old workshop. Just going to show you some spinners and answer a couple of YouTube comments questions. Do you ever sell your prototypes that were not fully up to muster? Not only will I not sell prototypes that aren't fully up to muster, I won't even sell my proper products that aren't fully up to muster, as you say. This is a titanium pry bar. This is the old version of one I sell, but you know, it's one I sold for 2 or 3 years. And I will show you an imperfection on it. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little line just there. You see a little line there? There's one there and one next to it that I don't think you can see. But that's enough for it just to go straight into the scrap pile. I don't let anything out that's less than flawless. Stuff does make it out, like, you know, sometimes people might get say a titanium pen with a cap on it, and you know, it's tight and fitting when I put it out, but for some reason there's like 1 in 30 or 40 or 50 pens that I just can't predict, and I'm sort of sorting that issue out just now, where the cap will get loose really quickly, and of course I completely replace that as soon as they tell me about it, you know, which I hope people tell me about, you know, if they're not happy. I just send out a replacement right away, like no questions, no nothing. That's kind of just my style. Now you have made all these different shapes and types of spinners. Which ones have been your favorite to fidget with? I will give you my very first spinner and one of my latest spinners here. I've got 4 spinners for you. This one, look at this. This was the very, very first spinner I made. Look at that, just completely random. Just, if you look at this, that is a bearing with a bunch of washers on each side and 2 machine screws. Really crude, really basic. But the funny thing is, when I first spun this, I was just like, I have to make spinners. Like, I knew it wasn't just like some gimmicky thing or some silly thing, because I sat playing with it all that night and the next sort of day and night, and I was just like, yeah, I have to make more. So after this one, I then made 2 versions at the same time, a small one and a large one of this, and this is the smaller version, so I'll show you this. I didn't have a milling machine or anything, so I had to clamp these plates together. This is 3 different titanium plates, 1, 2, 3, different shapes, and they're clamped together on the ends, and then there's again a bearing with machine screws and washers in the middle. It's not pretty, very industrial looking, but it really works well, and weirdly enough, it spins pretty well, like it feels pretty good. I mean, it was just a very crude prototype, but it did what it needed to do, and I started getting a feel for sort of how spinners should be designed, if you're designing them properly. Designing them to be fidgeted with, not just to look good, like most people seem to do, weirdly enough. This is a beveled version of the one that I called the Fatty, so this is like the Fatty V2. And this spinner here was one of the most comfortable ones to use, just really nice. A little bit too small. Look at the size of it in the palm of my hand. It's tiny, way too small. A slightly larger version of this would just be phenomenal, and I am almost certainly going to be making this version. Now my favourite to spin and fidget with is still this one here, or a version of this. This is like the main one I started developing and continued developing. It's just, even though it looks good aesthetically, I didn't design it for that. I designed it for pure fidgetability. It's just got all the right angles and shapes and sort of concaves and everything, just to fidget, give it the ultimate in fidgetability. It's the right length, it's the right width, it's the right everything. I just developed it over sort of literally dozens of different types. I just tried this, tried that, tried this, and that's almost the final design, and that's what my machinist will hopefully be prototyping. Maybe at the end of this week, potentially. We'll see how it goes. It's taking a lot longer than I planned. Magnus, I have a question. When you are sanding, do the sparks burn you at all? No, not at all. Like, you could have a whole ton of sparks and you could just hold your hand right in front of the sparks. They just they don't burn you. I think it's like when a meteorite comes into the Earth's atmosphere. It's traveling at like, what is it, tens of thousands of miles an hour, and it's like bombing across the sky, but when it hits the Earth's atmosphere, it just starts burning up and just sort of disintegrates to nothing. I think it's like that with the sparks. Like, they're just so small that even though they're kind of hot initially, by the time they reach your hand, they've just died to nothing. What is the longest spin time you've gotten on one of your designs? I've never tried it because I use someone else's core. It's a brass core. It's not what's going to be in a final product of mine, and so there's no point on doing spin time at all. Could you make the bearings out of titanium yourself for a 100% titanium spinner? Potentially you could, but it's one of those things that it just wouldn't be worth it. It'd be better off spending time and energy on another part of the spinner and sort of provide value to you that way. Can you give a reason why you can't make spinners from cheaper materials such as steel? Oh, it's not that I can, it's just that I don't want to. Like, it's the best or nothing. That's just how I do things, so hence titanium. I think that is enough for questions today. Didn't get to them all, but such is life. Just keep asking, perhaps, and I should get to it. Why am I over here? Oh yeah, show you the sink. This sink, big stainless steel sink, it's kind of like it's like a tipping point for moving everything to the new workshop, because here we have the big tumbler, the Rosler German tumbler. Here we have the United Engineering American centrifugal tumbler, and for working both of these, we really need access to to water, the sink. It's just so intrinsic to tumbling, and we're thinking of moving this sink over to the new workshop this week. Just thinking about it. But if we do move that, then these machines here have to go as well, and pretty much everything else will go, and that will be the move to the new workshop pretty much done after being in here, how long? 2 years? Yeah, two years, just over 2 years, which will be quite exciting. I think I will call it a day at that. I will of course leave you with a quote. It is by W. Edwards Deming, and he said, "It is not necessary to change. Survival is not mandatory."